Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ambassador's Lounge. We are discussing about Iran war, United States attack and Israel's attack on Iran have almost destroyed the infrastructure in the country. And the war is still on. And there is no end in the sight that whether it's going to end or not. Although there are indications that President Trump wants to end it soon. However, when it ends, we have yet to see. We don't know. But till that time, we wanted to discuss issues which have direct impact on the lives of the people. It is not just Iran or Gulf states. The lives of other countries, especially those which are linked through trade, through the Strait of Hormuz, they are badly impacted. Pakistan is one of them. Just only yesterday, there was again a second time increase in the oil prices. And now it is unprecedented, at least in South Asia. The oil prices are highest in Pakistan, touching almost 451 rupees to a liter. And still we are not sure whether this price is going to stay and for how long. We thought that while we have discussed in our previous program about Iran war, United States tactics, as well as Israel's brutalities, because it's just not now limited to Iran. Iran has started its attacks on Lebanon. They want to, and they have already pushed almost 1.5 million people in Beirut to vacate the area, and they want to now capture the territory up to Litani River. So we thought that we will discuss this issue in more detail as far as the economic aspect. And for us, we are fortunate that Dr. Anil Salman is today with us. And he is an economist par excellence. He has many research works to his credit, and he has been, in fact, a bold voice about suggesting remedies for the economic ills domestically as well as in the international economic arena. I'll be joined by my dear colleague, Ambassador Amjad Sher, who would also be asking questions with Dr. Anil. Dr. Anil, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
And as you have seen with the intro, what is the impact of this war on Pakistan? Let's begin with Pakistan, and then we can expand our argument to the region.
So, well, the first thing I would start with that when we look at this whole crisis, I think Pakistan was not exactly ready for such crisis that it will take to us to this level. And the first and the foremost vulnerability that we are exposed to, that Pakistan is a very much oil-dependent country. And we are importing almost 80 to 85% of this oil which is coming from Middle East, from the Strait of Hormuz. So the moment this conflict/war starts, our oil demand and our oil supply was the biggest shock. So what you have just mentioned that early yesterday, the oil prices increased. Now it is around 458 rupees per liter. And before that, what we were seeing that the government has been claiming that, okay, we are going to manage this shock and we are not going to transfer the shock towards people. But how we are managing this shock, that is the big question. And the government has one important tool, that is price fluctuations. So we see that, okay, by increasing the price, we can mitigate this risk. But what we forget that it's not just the oil disruption. There are other macroeconomic implications. And along with that, this Iran conflict, there is another front at which Pakistan is fighting, that is Afghanistan also, which also takes the economy to a different direction. So let's couple Iran and Afghanistan and how it impacts Pakistan. The first and the foremost is the oil disruption. And second one, the moment there is increase in the oil price, it has a direct impact on our current account, because your import bill starts increasing.
Correct.
And when the import bill increases, so the leading impact is going to be on inflation. Last year, after the floods, and even 2025, the inflation was about 1.25%. But now if you see, it is hovering around 7%. But the projection is, even now, if you see that this oil price increase, does it have a full-fledged impact on the economy? No, it's not. Maybe in another 4 to 5 weeks, then we see the real impact, how it is going to affect the Pakistan economy. So the first one is your oil disruption. The second one is your balance of trade, that your imports are going to be much higher and your exports are going to be less. The third one is that your import bill is going to be very high. So as soon as the import bill is going to be high, so your forex reserves are going to deplete.
Correct.
Right now, the forex reserves are around 14 to 16 billion US dollars. But you can imagine the speed at which the oil prices are increasing. So there is almost an increase from 1.2 billion US dollars to 4.4 to 5 billion US dollars. So you can see a huge impact on our forex reserves, a pressure on our forex reserves. Later on, you would see that the exports are going to reduce. The inflation is going to increase. And now how other sectors are going to influence is, it's not just oil. You see agriculture sector, service sector, and your manufacturing sector. So in the agriculture sector, we have been hearing this news that, okay, the fertilizer sector is going to be impacted. So when the fertilizer prices, and you have seen that Forgy Foundation and Engro, they have increased their fertilizer prices. So we expect when the harvesting season is going to be closer, so, and the budget is going to come in June, so we see that there's going to be an impact on the food prices. So not just inflation solely, the food inflation is going to have a direct impact on the common people.
Correct.
After the food, we look at the food inflation, that will have a profound impact. Then you look at the foreign direct investment. We already see a drastic decline in our foreign direct investment at the moment. So with the decline in the foreign direct investment, the investor confidence is losing. And it's not just Pakistan, it's everywhere. Like in the Middle East, people are leaving, and you see that the foreign direct investment has declined. Over here, you see that in these few weeks, the remittances has increased. It was an Eid effect also. But then people who are abroad, they also see that, well, the safe haven is, what if the war prolongs? Let's send our money back to Pakistan. So you see, on average, every year, Pakistan receives around $48 billion remittances.
Correct.
But now we will see that there will be gradual decrease in the remittances also.
Especially the Gulf states.
Especially the Gulf state, and approximately 40 to 55% of your remittances that are coming from the
Are you also
Middle
anticipating some retrenchments in the Gulf states of Pakistani labor?
Well, there are two sides. Number one is, yes, there might be that the labor shortage is already being created, but it's not that Pakistanis will be coming to Pakistan, but there are other also people who are leaving Middle East. So it also creates a vacuum. It also creates a space where there might be more demand from Pakistan from the labor market. So there might be high employment once the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the Middle East starts. So there are two counter views. One is that there will be labor might be coming to Pakistan, but another one is that if there is a global labor shortage, so might be Pakistani labor might be filling that gap much easier as compared to other countries from where the labor
But there are
has
some
migrated.
political connotations More recently, UAE,
yes.
perhaps.
Like the Indian market and all.
They were not
everyone they're
happy
feeling. But then comes the diplomatic relations, that how good the Foreign Office deals with the situation, and we create the space for the labor market. Lastly, what I would say that the economic growth. The growth rate in Pakistan before the crisis, yes, Pakistan was termed as a stable economy in 2025. But now when we see in the first quarter of 2026, the growth rate is also going to be between 2 to 3%, which is less.
Less than the projected.
Less than the projected one. So the economy is going to be slow. So overall, it is a multi-pronged crisis, that it's not just the economy. On the other side, you would see that what I fear that as the budget is going to be announced in June, so what would be the quick fix? Expect more taxation, expect more increase in the defense expenditures, then more debt repayments, and lastly, that the amount that we are storing it for the PSTP, the development budget, is going to be reduced.
In the beginning, you said that we were not ready for this oil, deficiency in our country. But we were under the impression that we have got a 30 days capacity. So now that impression is also, gone. And God forbid, in case of war, we may not be able for that kind of situation, one thing. But now I'm coming just to the other point, that there are now emergencies, applied by many countries, like in Philippines and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and even in India. Are we going, first part of the question is that, are we going also for the emergency-like situation, especially oil, for our in Pakistan? Secondly, with the high prices of the oil, definitely the prices of every commodity is going up, and it is going to impact every person, especially the salaried class. Then the government is now recently announced that it has asked the parliamentarians, the senators, and even the government servants for cut in their salaries. So what kind of, are we going now even for economic emergency in the Pakistan? And most important, yesterday I was watching the news CNN, that if this conflict continues, this war continues, maybe through June 2026, the oil prices per barrel might go up to $200 barrel. So what kind of situation we are anticipating now?
So right now, if you look at the government's body language, they are trying that there's no panic. So even before Eid, we were expecting that there will be an increase in the oil price. But when there was a 50 rupees increase, that created panic, that created frustration in the public. And to mitigate that social unrest, if you recall, the Prime Minister said we are not going to increase any price. But as of today, the prices has been increased. Economic emergency might be a very strong word, but government at the moment, as I was looking at some of the statements that was coming from Ministry of Finance, they say that right now we have approximately 45 days oil reserve at the moment. So you are beyond, usually we have 28 to 30 days. So they say because the ships are coming, so we have this 45 days reserve. Coming on to that, whether we were ready, Pakistan was not ready for that. Why I say that? Because if in the earlier, when there was a first increase in the oil price, you would see that in this March, the oil import or the oil reserves have actually increased the maximum that has ever happened in Pakistan. So if the oil price is increasing, the OMCs, these oil companies, they have actually purchased a much higher quantity of oil as compared to any other time period. So the oil consumption has also increased, and the oil, accumulation has also increased. So that was something that if some bigger danger is coming, so people tend to reduce their consumption. But we see that in March, the consumption has actually increased. So OMCs earned a lot of profit out of it.
But we are also ignoring the import of LNG from Qatar, and Qatar has
Yes.
stopped exporting LNG. So that is another, point of worry for the whole of Pakistan, maybe.
But again, two views. One view is that approximately, even with this halt of LNG from Qatar, right now 75 of this consumption is being managed domestically. Like OGDCL and the companies are into it, and Pakistan is managing. But that cannot be prolonged for a longer period of time. But you see that an important thing happened, which we should have noticed. If we look at May 2025, what the countries started doing, that they started accumulating oil. And there are three things. One is the strategic reserve, another one is these operational reserve, and the third one is oil on water, the oil that has been ordered and that is already on the ships. So you see that in May 2025, a single country, like they were seeing that in Pakistan, we were having this India-Pakistan conflict, but China was one of the countries that was actually accumulating, and it was increasing its strategic reserves to the maximum. Then comes November, December, and all of a sudden, these European and other countries, they also started asking for more oil. And you see by February, it has never happened that approximately 8.2 billion of the reserve, it has never happened in the history that these countries have started accumulating this strategic reserves. Now, as of today, with this recent conflict, when the war actually broke out, now Japan, China, and these countries, they have started depleting their strategic reserves. And now you see that, okay, the price is increasing. But you would see that this particular increase in price has not really translated into real crisis. The real crisis will start emerging when their strategic reserves start getting depleted.
But in a way, I think these countries which were raising their strategic reserves, perhaps they had the inkling of this war going to break out.
For them, it was not a black swan. For us, it was a black swan. We thought that, okay, well, this conflict might occur. This conflict will be for like a week or so. And again, it was all of a sudden attack from Trump, because already the negotiations were in process. And until the negotiations have not given any conclusion, without that, the attack was being made on Iran. So that's why it was more of a surprise.
Trickiest thing is that even if negotiations start, there's a trust problem.
Yes.
Because twice Iran had to face the deceit. Last year, they were about to reach an agreement about Iran's nuclear program, and a day earlier, Israel attacked.
Yes.
Followed by the United States.
And that's why.
And same happened during this on 28th February.
And that's why now, when this Pakistan played a very important role in the diplomatic at the diplomatic front, but then they required China to actually give some of the assurances that, okay, US is not going to attack again. So I think that table talks do hold a very important aspect, but still, what optimism Pakistan had that, okay, it might mitigate this crisis, I think now it is getting bleak.
Well, another, I think, from economic point of view, because most of the time we were getting oil on deferred payments from Saudi Arabia and UAE. And now I think there's a suspicion that
there will be
that won't be forthcoming.
That might not
and
be.
Even UAE has also called back its the credit which had it given to Pakistan.
So, it has not been confirmed by the Ministry of Finance, but yes, that is what
reported in the
said.
media.
Yes.
That's another question is that President Donald Trump, in his speech latest on 1st of April, he also mentioned in his speech that Hormuz is no more his problem. It is for the countries, other countries, they are exporting oil. And at the same time, he was also offering that he has got a lot of United States of America has got a lot of oil, and they can buy from United. Do you think that the United States of America or President Trump is trying to, in fact, sell its own oil to the world and increasing its reserves, because obviously United States are also going through an economic crunch.
Partially true, and partially I would disagree, because within US the oil prices are reaching towards $4, and there is a panic, and that's why even within
Why
US,
it has so happened? Because the United States is now the largest producer.
even with the Venezuela and all that, yes, but yes, it is the largest exporter. But the consumption pattern that has also
But they are not facing a Hormuz-like situation.
They are not
for
into
the
it.
United States.
But the same thing, if you see it in Canada, there's no panic because most of the oil they are domestically producing from Alberta. But for US, there is a panic, and the oil prices, the domestic consumption is getting affected, because even if there's an increase of $1, the American people start having this panic that, okay, something bad is. But the question comes, can US pursue this war for a longer period of time? When you see that Israel is not saying that there will be boots on the ground. So therefore, by the end of the day, they might see that, okay, it may not become the next Afghanistan, and US alone has to take the brunt of all this war expenditure.
Dr. Anil, this is a question which now I think is doing the rounds, that this war actually, and looking at President Trump's way of handling these issues, especially with regard to Iran, one day he says that they are about to reach an agreement and the war will be stopped. At the moment, there's a pause till 6th of April, although violations have taken place. But somehow, when you look at the market sentiments, so it looks as if in the United States, some insider trading is taking place. And the vested interest is making billions of dollars through these projections. What is your take about that? Because then you can say that this war has started and it has created a vested interest for those who are powerful in the United States, and they are minting money.
See, you're absolutely right. Like, US is a war economy, and the corporations always benefit from the chaos when it is created. And now oil market is disrupted, and who is benefiting? It may not be the government, it's basically the corporations that are getting benefit out of it. When you talk about Trump's negotiation, or the way Trump's modus operandi in it, well, the first and the foremost is, whenever Trump is in any deal, it is basically that, okay, he's going to make the deal first. That is his signature. Then his way of communication. His communication is very simple, he's very persuasive, and he's a Twitter X guy that makes statements that changes with every tweet. Yeah. So there is very much unpredictability when Trump is giving any statement. Lastly, he pressurizes, and then America first, always his mantra. And the last one is that, according to Trump, that he thinks that with the American military, they can dominate any country. Yeah. But I think there was certain miscalculation. They thought it might be another Venezuela or any other country, but Iran showed a very different kind of color. Or Iran showed a very different kind of strategy when it came to. And if you look at the formal communications, what their foreign minister, even though the top management has been completely gone, and the kind of attacks they are making. So Iran is actually coming with a very different...
it was not anticipated.
It was not anticipated at all. And now they are realizing, so now if you look at the last tweets of Trump, like he's talking about that, okay, we are going to negotiate, he's giving his 15-point agenda, China is giving, Iran is giving. So maybe there will be certain space, but I think now Iran is actually checking the appetite of US, that what kind of...
But I think United States is likely to earn more, because It is going to pressurize the Gulf states to cough up money because the United States is involved
Yes,
in the war.
and as you rightly said that it's not US, it's basically the American corporations that are going to earn out of this conflict.
President Donald Trump, in his previous statements, also stated that they are going to occupy Kharg Island, which is the pumping station, the Iranian oil for export to the rest of the world. Well, obviously, there is going to be a very, situation which is confrontation is going to reach its highest peak. What do you anticipate that in case of that, the total oil supply will be blocked to this part of the world?
That is one side of the statement, what Trump actually says. But we miss the other side of the actor, that is Iran itself. And if you see the Iran statements, that they are saying that, okay, we welcome the American soldiers, come over and let's see how it is going to take.
But that's a political statement.
That is more of a... But even that is also a political statement that we're going to take over the oil supply of Iran and all that. So we are missing the other players also, Russia, we are missing China, that, okay, how they are going to respond and react out of it.
They are so far silent.
They are so far
not
silent.
Yet, I think they are showing what I would call it strategic neutrality. They have not actively involved in this war, but they are watching it very, with serious...
and behind the scenes, I think they are helping Iran. Yes. Otherwise, in order to counter...
I think it's already, the deal was very much there.
Yes.
It is not because of this war that they'll be coming to help Iran. Dr. Anil, you may have also observed that while we are talking about American and Israeli involvement in Iran, but there are also other actors in the game. They may not be so vocal, perhaps, at the moment, say China or Russia. But we shouldn't forget that they have strategic relationship with Iran. And whatever missile or drone technology we are talking about, there have been some joint collaborations which were done. And now there are also talk of North Korean collaboration with Iran for ICBMs they want to introduce in future. So this is quite unsettling for the United States as well. And so far, United States has failed to damage Iran's missile and drone assets. They may have done some, but their launchers are very much there, and they have hidden those resources which they are using. So in this scenario, Iran is likely to continue. To continue not only in their own neighborhood, but Houthis are likely to be activated. They have already done it. Hezbollah is more likely to be more active because Israel has started its atrocities and it is trying to capture the territory in southern Lebanon. In this scenario, I anticipate more tensions and more death and destruction, as well as economic crunch, not only among the parties involved, but all across the globe. What is your take?
I agree with that there is going to be more. Economic collapse would be an extreme word, but as I say, that the impact would be that the economies are going to slow down. You would see Pakistan, India, Iran, US, France, China, the growth rates are going to fall. Like Iran itself is now moving between 0.5 to 1.5% economic growth rate. So Iran. So the growth rates are going to, so it means that the economic activity is going to slow down. Number two, that whether this chaos is going to take, but on the other side, if you see that the defense expenditures are going to increase in every economy.
Almost
every
across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah.
And we have seen that after COVID-19, across the board, all countries have increased their defense expenditures. If you look at our neighbor, India, after that Pahalgam incident, they are actually buying lot and lots of defense equipment, and they have been silent, but they're shopping all over the world. So why the defense expenditures, or why the defense, this military equipment accumulation is being done? Because we feel that countries are unsafe, and the way
They feel vulnerable.
yeah, they are actually mitigating their vulnerability by increasing their defenses. So the budget equations of all the countries are going to change, where the development expenditures are going to decline and your defense expenditures are going to increase, and that is true for Pakistan also. The growth rates are going to be slowed down. The debt is going to increase because the developing countries, they do not have that kind of indigenous muscle to make these military equipment. So they will be going on to these developed countries like France, US to buy these military expenditures. So ultimately those economies are going to benefit because of the increase in the defense expenditures of these developing countries. So countries are feeling that something bigger is going to happen, or the uncertainty is going to increase. And even if we see that the peace is going to prevail, that will be more of a negative peace.
So if this will in fact enhance the recessionary rate.
Yes.
And then it is, don't you think that it reminds us of the Second World War's environment in which they went into extreme recession?
And like even at the moment, if I say that Pakistan would be going through in the coming months, if the situation doesn't change, we will be facing stagflation. That there will be increase in the
It's just not Pakistan. I mean,
yeah, all over
the entire region. I mean, India, they say that they have a very
textiles have
rising
get
economy.
affected. Even Pakistan's export, the textile sector is getting affected. Like 60% of our textile is getting affected by the current this conflict. So every country's trade, inflation, growth rate, debt, that is going to be impacted because of this conflict.
But the United States, I think, would be a beneficiary. It's military-industrial complex.
Sir, that would be like in terms of, as you said, that, okay, it may be creating a chaos to market its oil, that, okay, why going to Middle East? We are here and you can actually have oil from our side. And that was the same thing that, if you remember that at one point of time, the countries, the OPEC countries, they would say that, okay, we are going to manage our production. But on the US side, they will increase the shale production. But at one point, Saudi Arabia actually spent lots and lots of money by just saying that, okay, we are going to manage the oil supply and we are going to counter US. But ultimately, it was the US which was the winner in the end. So US oil companies, US these arms companies, they are going to benefit out of these uncertainties that are being created. And South Asia is affected profoundly by that, because most of our remittances, trade, and energy, that is coming from Middle East.
Correct. And again, it's a scary scenario.
It is.
Isn't it, Amjad?
Yes, exactly. Next up, last question. What suggestion you would like to give to the government? That obviously now our diaspora from the Middle East would like to maybe coming back as a result of the devastations in the Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE.
All Gulf states.
All the Gulf states. And secondly, the price hike of the commodities as a result of the rise in oil prices is also going to affect the common man, especially the salaried class.
So,
should there be some special benefit or special allowances announced for the government, for the pensioners as well as the salaried class?
Sir, for the government, I think government is in a situation where they have to weigh the benefits, because right now the only tool that we are using is the price or people. But I think the ultimate beneficiary needs to be people. As earlier in our discussion started, that, okay, we realized our vulnerability that Pakistan is energy dependent and 85% of the energy is coming from the Middle East. And if something happens over there, it may not be the Strait of Hormuz, but something happens over there, Pakistan is a victim of that. And I was sharing that just today, a few days back, The Economist actually published the most vulnerable country in this oil crisis is Pakistan. Now, what has to be done? Okay, that is that, okay, how do we become an energy independent and energy sufficient country? And that is, we have seen over the past few years that Pakistan has moved towards renewables. And there has been a surge in the demand of electric vehicles in Pakistan. So, keeping in mind the way geopolitics is changing, and you see that oil is like the commodity that runs the economies, especially South Asia, because others have strategic reserve, Pakistan do not have. So there are two things which I see in the long run. Number one, that okay, let's go for our energy independence. How we can actually get out of this 85% dependence, as we have seen in terms of the LNG has stopped, but it has not affected that much people, that much of the country in the shorter run. But in the longer run, I think we need to build our strategic reserves, at least 90 days, the way other countries have done that. Not just the operational reserves, but also, I think, move towards renewables, solarization, this wind energy. And if you are energy independent, that's why we don't see China actually creating any panic, because China has already this EV revolution and one of the biggest exporters of solar panels and electric vehicles. So I think Pakistan needs to have that kind of plan where I think we need to become an energy independent, and that 85% mix comes towards 20-25%. I think this should be the vision of the government.
And is there going to be any currency depreciation?
So there will be a currency depreciation, because we cannot work on these subsidies, because already I think 1.2 billion has been dispersed over the last 1 month. But as you said, okay, what is happening to the common man? The earlier strategy was that we were working on the blanket subsidy. And usually what we have seen that the blanket subsidies do not work. People who are having these SUVs, they benefit from these fuel subsidies. It is not the poor man. Now, as of today, the government has announced that they are going to have the targeted subsidies. But over here, I think the catch is that the government doesn't know that how that targeted subsidy is going to be reached towards the common people. Because if you see that they are saying that over 20 liters, 100 rupees subsidy will be given to the two-wheelers and the three-wheelers. But how that 100 rupees subsidy will be given, that is a challenge. You have to have the motorbike on your name, you need to go to the NADRA, you need to get the verification from the DC office. The process is very tedious, and if you get into that, even if someone who want to have that subsidy, they will not make it. So it has to be very simple. It has to be an AI or a technology has to be used where people can actually use that targeted subsidy and they can benefit out of it.
Why not? One thing is that there are, I think I have heard 150,000 vehicles, official vehicles given to the bureaucrats.
So,
if the government withdraws that facility and instead monetize, giving the government bureaucrats, especially only for the head of the department, like secretary level, only a government official car should be allowed. For the rest, they should monetize. But that is also going to...
That can work, but on the other side...
But problem is that is already in vogue.
That is already in vogue.
And despite that, they are having
more vehicles. The government of Punjab has given more vehicles to the top.
Because during Shaukat Aziz's time, it was monetized.
Sir.
Around 2010-11, it was monetized.
But yes, these are very good. And I think what works in Pakistan and what we have to change the behavior. The demand side has to be active. Like the public transport needs to be good. But even like as of today, the government of Punjab and Islamabad has announced that they're going to make the fares free to use the public transport. But just imagine how many people are going to use. People who are already using cars, they will not switch themselves.
Tell me that now we have gone for, I mean, there are options that to go for the lockdown.
Sir.
Or like we have done now, working from home.
Sir.
So 2 days working from home. Friday has been declared as an off day. So actually you are working 4 days a week, out of which 2 days you are working from your home.
So,
the idea is to conserve energy, and also in a way it would perhaps save the people of extra expenditure. So you think it is going to work?
Don't call me a devil's advocate, but that is a Jivon paradox. Jivon paradox is basically that you make these interventions with the assumption that fuel is going to be consumed. But now if you are not coming on Wednesdays and Thursday to the office, people get their tanks full and they go to Murray or they start doing the excursion activity. Yes,
So it means they are not feeling the pinch.
they are not feeling it. So you see that the schools are locked and they are going online. But you imagine that earlier parents were sending their children to school and their daily activity was not being affected by that. But now they need a babysitter at home. The energy bills are going to be higher at the household level. That is not going to be lower, because at the household level the energy bills are going to be higher. The consumption of food items is going to be more as compared to less. When you are going to the office, instead of having a good public transport system, just staying at home doesn't ensure that, okay, the fuel consumption is going to be lower, because people don't, in Pakistan, we don't feel that, okay, it's a work from home, we take it as a holiday. So people tend to work their other activities or whatever they have left it for the weekend. Now the weekend has extended more.
So it would be taxing on government's exchequer.
Yes, it would. I feel that the consumption is going to be higher in other activities, like the Food Panda service is going to be much more higher. But Food Panda is going to increase their service bills because of the increase in the fuel prices. So at home, you're not going to cook, but you're going to use the service. So it means that there will be more expenditure. And it would be nice that, okay, we do some study that whether the lockdowns at the schools, whether the online education via on universities, that is going to work out or not. But as of 1st of April, the Higher Education Commission has already said that, okay, classes are going to be physical. So the student who was already moved to Sargodha or Amiyawali, now he is coming back, going again to the hostels, and the physical classes have started. It's only the Fridays that is still treated as a holiday, work from home, but otherwise all
Friday is a complete holiday.
Friday is a complete, but all 4 days are now operational for the universities.
Yeah.
And schools are also have reverted back.
So it's not a smart policy.
It's not a smart policy going for the lockdowns. I say it's more of changing the behavior of people, that how people are sensitized that, okay, let's go for the carpool. And you would see that in one house there are 3 cars, but the father, mother, and the children are using all different cars, so the carpool is not something. If 3 people are going from the same vicinity to the same office, that the public transport has to be improved. The EV culture has to be bred, and I think it's more of a change in behavior of people rather than attacking the supply side, that let's fluctuate the price and then we can actually achieve the stability in the economy.
If you are the head of government,
So I wish.
yeah. So what are you going to suggest? What should be the policy parameters to ward off these pressures, economic pressures?
Sir, I think, again, the core objective of me being in the driving seat and running the country would be making it more energy independent. And there are different ways of making energy independence, like energy savers, solarization, EVs. But these are not the short term or the nudges. These are basically the long term.
So we will have to bear the pain.
Yes. For the short run, yes. Like why to still have these 2-wheelers which are 1 to 5 or 200cc, or why not move on to these electric vehicles and encourage them? Like I have seen it in China, I have seen it in other countries.
But when you switch over to electric vehicles, so you will still be consuming electricity.
Yes.
So it means you have to increase the wattage.
But then my first stance was that, okay, let's make ourselves energy independent.
Correct.
That, okay, let's...
And from there it should flow.
flow then in the
But
commodities.
in the interim, you have to bear the pain.
Yes, you have to bear the pain.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You heard the discussion. It was quite a learning for me. I'm sure you may have benefited from this discussion. There are many challenges, and we are not alone as Pakistan. We are not alone. The entire world will be facing these bad times as far as economic conditions are concerned. Let's hope good sense prevails at the leadership level in the United States, and the war comes to an end, and then subsequently good sense prevails by giving diplomacy a chance and bring about peace and stability at the regional and global levels. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel.